Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Sideline to Sideline. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my left, I have the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. I got the king. I got Kyle Edwards. How you feeling tonight, Kyle?
I'm good. It's a interesting week. We got plenty of football Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I can't wait.
Now, do you like that when it's spread out the way it is? Or are you a fan of like the spread out type thing that we have? Like, are you a fan of that?
Yeah, I'm one of those who you put NFL on anytime, I'm there. Doesn't matter to me.
I'm not. I like the huge slate on Sunday, so I can watch Red Zone and have like 8 games in the 1 o'clock and 5 in the 2 o'clock, like the 4 o'clock hour. But we'll talk about that. I'll get your opinion below. Directly below me, welcome back to Sideline to Sideline, Mr. Guardy 2. No, he's not. He's guarding a 3. How you feeling tonight, Brett?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I've missed being on here, and I'm just ready to talk some football.
EA Sports. We're in the game. Direct to my caddy corner, lower left corner. He's rocking the Eagle Santa hat because he's going to be bringing us gifts tonight. THEEGODFRUI, my brother from another, taking it deep with Mr. D. Godfrey.
What's up, guys? Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah, Three Kings Day, whatever you may celebrate. Let's get into this. This is the witching hour, man. I love this, and I do love, like Kyle does, the game spread out. I enjoy that, actually.
I mean, I guess I do to an extent, but like Saturday I work all day, so I think I'm selfish about it. So like I want, like Sunday, I've taken that time away. Thursday I get done here, I'm taking that time away to watch football. That's what I'm here to do. By the way, fantasy football semifinals, I'm in 5 out of 7 leagues. Not bad. NFL genius for somewhat of a reason. By the way, last week I did say the Detroit Lions would spank the Denver Broncos by 25 points. I said 42-17. I said 38-13. They won 42-17. That I can't nail that anymore.
Yeah, definitely props to you on that one.
Learned real quick not to bet against the NFL genius, that's for sure.
Nah, that's fine. Listen, I've lost my fair share too. I just had a good read on that game. When you have a good read, I got a good read on a game this week, and it might be the game of the week. Maybe the game of the week, but we're not going to talk about that yet. Let's talk about last week. Let's talk about what we watched last Sunday. We got a couple good football games. I loved Buffalo-Dallas. That was my favorite game of the week. James running in the kitchen to cook ran wild. It was like Hulk Hogan. They ran wild on him. What are your thoughts on I'm going to ask this question. I know it's sarcasm. Are the Dallas Cowboys frauds?
I mean, I think the bigger takeaway from it isn't this kind of what we've been wanting Buffalo to do? Rely on some type of running game that isn't Josh Allen? And what do you know? You give it to Cook, who can handle the duty. He can go off every, once in a while. I never understood why Buffalo was so reluctant to trust in a running group or a running back to take some of the pressure off of Josh Allen. I never got it, never understood that. Hopefully they stick with it, even though it will probably mean them making the playoffs. And my prediction before the season was they wouldn't. But I can't deny what I'm seeing. Like, they're playing their best at the right time. The AFC ahead of them has fallen back to the pack to allow them to hang around. And out of the teams in that wild card spot and just out of it, like, they're one of the hottest teams right now. So, I mean, I can't knock what Buffalo's doing, even though it would make my prediction look wrong, but I'm okay with that.
Look, I'm 100% wrong about the Buffalo Bills coming into the season. Buffalo is the truth right now. I was right about them the whole year, and I think them firing a coach and Ken Dorsey and giving the play calling over to Joe Brady has been the difference. They've looked like a different team since then. Yeah, Godfrey, are the Buffalo Bills for real?
I think so. I mean, listen, the Eagles should take some notes. take some pressure off Jalen Hurts, maybe get the ball to DeAndre Swift. I don't know. I mean, I was giving people that comparison. People are like, "Oh, what's fine an offensive coordinator going to do?" I'm not even saying they should do that. But if you look at, they changed up the play call and they said, "Hey, Josh Allen, stop playing hero ball. Take what the defense gives you. Let James Cook make some plays for you." And it wasn't even a close game. They gashed them, and James Cook went wild. And that inability or unwillingness to do that in the earlier part of the season did cause dissension in the locker room. They lost games, and sometimes you got to play a certain way. And Joe Brady, since he's becoming his offensive coordinator, he's been like, yeah, we're going to use this weapon. And I think it was smart. I think it's smart of him.
James Cook has looked great. I will say this. There is a lot of resemblance between Buffalo and Philadelphia in the sense that they had a great coordinator. He became a head coach. Their quarterback and their offense took a huge step backwards because they hired the coordinator that was in-house, that was buddy-buddy with the quarterback. That's the exact same thing. Am I right? Brian Johnson, Ken Dorsey. I don't know. I just think that's very obvious what ended up happening in Buffalo and Philadelphia. And I'm hoping Philadelphia doesn't have to make that same move at offensive coordinator. I hope they get it together. But we'll talk about Philadelphia later. We do have to talk about another coach that got fired. Brett, I'm going to go to you first and just ask your opinion on this. Brandon Staley, he got let go after an absolute bloodbath that happened last Thursday night. And by the way, once again, I told you the Raiders were going to kick their ass. I said, there's no way the Chargers win this football game without Justin Herbert. Mm-hmm. Now, there's two questions I want to ask you, Brett. One is, was it the right time to fire Staley? And two, did Antonio Pierce already do enough to win the job in Las Vegas?
So to answer the first question, I think it was the right time. Let's be real. You knew he was gone after the year. There's really no point in keeping him around these last couple of weeks. You might as well just cut bait now, and then everybody can see what you're looking for in the offseason. So I think it was a perfect time. There's no way you can keep him after a team that literally just got shut out 4 days prior, now dropped 63 on your head. Like, they scored 63 points all week, and it all came against you. There's just no way you stay around after that.
No. Well, you said the perfect time, but I'll tell you right now, the only time it was the perfect time was Friday morning. That's it. That's the only time it was perfect time. Because I would argue, and I think Godfrey would too, that the perfect time to fire him was after last year's AFC wildcard round game. Because, it was the perfect time on Friday to fire him. It was also the perfect time last week to fire him. And it was also the perfect time last year to fire him. I think Brandon Staley should have been fired a while ago. I think this is way too late. And I think that in the process, you've lost the locker room. So, second question, though, do you think Antonio Pierce has done enough to win that job over in Las Vegas?
I think so. I think he's done more than enough to give him a chance. These Raiders have rebounded. They're fighting under him. Even when they lose, they're fighting at least. These games are close. This is a coach that wants to win, and he will run up the score and win by no matter how much. This is a guy whose high school team won, I believe it was like 99-9 in a game. So you have a coach that just wants to win. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win. And it seems like it's rubbing off on these guys. So even if you do like a short-term extension, like a 2-year extension, I think he's done enough to get the head coaching job next year.
When that game was like 47-0, and then they let up a touchdown, and he's screaming at his defense, I thought that was incredible. Yep. Godfrey, Kyle, same question. You guys, when should Brandon Staley have been fired? And has Antonio Pierce locked up the job in Las Vegas?
He should have been fired after the tie game that Bisaccia was letting him pretty much send them both into the playoffs. But he was so inept, he effed that up. He maybe should have been fired after he blew the games against the Chiefs because he's like, I'm not going to kick field goals. I mean, he had the Chiefs dead to rights that year. They should have won the division. I was blown away, and that was his shot to cement himself. And, he's an awful coach. As far as Antonio Pierce, I think his position right now is right time, right place. I think with a team coming out of a Josh McDaniels regime, a player's coach is going to play well with the locker room. And that's what they need to do is win the locker room, have a guy that's, he's played football. He's been on the defensive side. I think he's earned it. If he's winning over the locker room, sure. And, you have to ask yourself too, like outside Josh McDaniels is awful, but even before Josh McDaniels, the Raiders organization isn't exactly well run. So, I think they should, not go the way they did of Pisacci is his name.
Rich Pisaccio.
Yeah, and let Antonio Pierce get a year under their belt, unless they get like a Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I still think you give him a shot, and not do what they did to Pisacci. And he hasn't playing because they're really not playing for nothing. And I would go with it. I think Pierce has done enough.
Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like more organizations that were probably in tune with what's really going on would have fired Staley after the playoff loss. The form and fashion that game happened, most other organizations, you can't come back to that team the following season and be like, hey, let's go through this again. It's like, no, because we can't trust you to do the right thing in the biggest moments. So I always thought once he made it past that, he was going to make it through the season, because if they didn't fire him for that, like, I didn't know what could be a lower point for the team than that. But I'm glad they got it done. We'll have to see who they end up going after post Staley, because that's going to be an important decision for them as well. They got to get that hiring correct and then figure out why a team that looks so talented on paper is not doing the same on the field and looks like a team that's a complete mess. Now, in terms of Antonio Pierce, he should get the job, because when you watch that game, you saw Chargers players who quit on Staley and didn't want to be in that game, while when you looked at Raiders players, you would have thought they were a playoff team. The energy that they had, the way that Pierce was, cheering and all that stuff with them, they clearly like him. That's what the team deserves at this point. So you might as well just keep him and go into next year and see what you can do.
Well, I got a question for Brett, and I kind of want to go right to him next. Are you off the Love boat? After back-to-back really bad losses, losing to Tommy Cutlets and the New York Giants on Monday Night Football, and then getting an opportunity to get right back in the playoff mix, playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, just couldn't stop anyone. Their defense was anemic. It was terrible. And, just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Packers coming off that win over Kansas City and them headed towards the playoffs. Now, Jordan Love was a franchise quarterback. And 2 weeks later, you got a lot of people jumping off the Love boat.
So I'm still a big believer in Jordan Love, and I think we should be looking to actually sign him to an extension after the year. I'm still huge on Jordan Love. I think he's shown enough. I think he's made enough of the right reads. And as it comes to the Packers, I said this on Big Three. We asked what my Christmas list was, and right now all it is for our defensive coordinator to get fired, because I've never seen a guy be so inept at situational football as Joe Barry has been since his entire tenure. There's too many situations where there's like a 3rd and 3 and our safeties are like 30 yards back. We have our corners playing 10 yards off of a 3rd and 4. And then we're shocked when they, get the easiest first down of their lives. We just run 2 defensive tackles and then a couple linebackers. I think that's good enough to stop the run and just get run over in the jumbo sets. Like, this dude is just horrible. And I'm off the Joe Barry train. I think he should have been fired last year, but I'm hoping that he goes this year. But when it comes to Jordan Love, I think he's shown enough that I'd be okay with an extension for him.
Wow, an extension. Godfrey, you think that Jordan Love has done enough to get an extension?
No.
Okay.
I guess we got to talk about the money value of it. If it's a modest extension, but nothing like where like we know you're the future extension, because listen, he's gone up and down this season, right? I think they have a pretty good offensive coaching staff there. They have talented young receivers. We've seen them perform. We've seen, there's depth there. Okay.
They're a bottom 10 receiving group.
You think so? I like Reed and I like Wicks. I
like Reed. Donovan Wicks is decent. Christian Watson hasn't played much all year.
Oh, I think Christian Watson's the most overrated player on that roster. I don't care what anybody says. Like, every year he hasn't shown up, and he has a couple spurts here, and people want to flip out. That game against the Eagles was overplayed. But Jordan Love, listen, I'm going off the mechanics. He has a hitch in his throw. I see him play different on the road. I was coming back around. He had those 2 wins against teams where he thought they were impressive wins, but they really weren't as it played out for how those teams are really showing that season, the Chiefs game being one of them. And for you to go,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, and the Lions on Thanksgiving, I mean, I think the Lions were on a downtrend. Their defense, man, I was on it. They did what they were supposed to do this week. But Jordan Love, I'm not saying it's over for him. I don't know if I'm giving him an extension because I just don't think he's shown enough yet. You got to make him earn it, man.
We talked about this on Birds Deep. Kyle, I want to ask you a question. When you look at the Green Bay Packers overall defensive unit, do they have the ingredients to be a top 5 defense? Not top 10, not top 20, a top 5. Do they have the ingredients?
I mean, I would think they have the ingredients to be a really good defense. I mean, you have a top tier corner in your front 7. You have a couple of guys up there that's more than enough to, with the right scheme and everything, to be a top defense. So yeah, I think they do.
Stop me, bro. I want you to stop me when I tell you a player that cannot be a Pro Bowler on this defense. So stop me if I say a player that's not a Pro Bowler on your defense that you don't think can eventually be a Pro Bowler, was a Pro Bowler, is a Pro Bowler. I want you to stop me, right? Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage.
I don't think Darnell Savage could be a Pro Bowler or is going to be one, but all those guys you mentioned, yeah, those guys could either have futures as a Pro Bowler or just were one just not too long ago.
This is blue chip talent over there in Green Bay. They have a blue chip defense. And I said the same thing earlier when I was talking about the Eagles. Brian Flores would do wonders with that defense. He's walking around with 6th-round draft picks and a bag of Doritos over there in Minnesota, and they got a top 12 defense in the NFL where teams like Green Bay and Philadelphia are falling behind the pack defensively with blue chip talent all over the football field. I can't take it. It bothers me.
He is doing wonders. Although I was all over that Bengals game because listen, it ain't Brian Flores' fault. Like you said, there are some bag of Doritos playing on that defense. I was like, oh man, they're gonna come back on him. It was a close game, but Brian Flores did all he could that game. There's a lot of talent on the Green Bay defensive side of the ball. I just think that defense, you could run on Green Bay though. Would you agree, Guardy? Am I wrong on that? Like running the ball?
Be able to though.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. It's one of the reasons why I want Barry gone. I think this is all just a huge misstep on the coordinator's part. It's poor planning. He's not putting guys in the right positions to succeed. Obviously, some of this is on the players. I'm not trying to take all the blame away from the players. That last touchdown we gave up to the Buccaneers to go down 14, 3 guys missed on a tackle that should have been made. But most 90% of the time, it feels like that Joe Barry has these guys in really bad positions. And all the great plays we do make, that's just more on the talent we have and not so much on the coordinator.
I completely agree with you there. We do have to move on. We have one more game I want to recap a little bit before we get into this week's preview, and it's Baltimore-Jacksonville, Sunday Night Football. And I've found out by being on 3 shows already this week that I am in the minority in the way I've watched this football game. And that's okay. I know I'm a fan of Trevor Lawrence. I understand that I'm a fan. I will fully admit that I'm a fan. But when I watched the football game, and I told Bill and Control this last night, and, I kind of pushed them, and they eventually agree with me. They just said I give the exact opposite critique of Justin Herbert, which is fair. When you watch that game on Sunday Night Football, outside of the non-spike and the fumble that he caused himself, did you think Trevor Lawrence played a bad football game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the score wasn't necessarily indicative of how he played, because if you were just looking at it in a bubble and you saw that scoreline, you'd be like, oh, Lawrence must have thrown like 4 picks or something like that. Because we know with the Ravens, they don't really blow out teams unless you turn the ball over. And I knocked Lawrence kind of heavily because of the fumble, because it was unforced and it was terrible. And then at the end of the first half, Like that's a play you just can't make. Like I don't care what the call is, but you know you don't have timeouts. You can't throw an out route that's like with a game maybe 3 yards and hope the guy breaks a tackle and gets out of bounds. At that point, it's a pointless throw. You either put it in the end zone or through the back of the end zone. So I'm not going to say like he failed the night. I would say he probably had like a, B minus C plus type of game. And C plus might be a little harsh, but it's just the unforced errors at crucial moments. You're going up against a Baltimore team that, because of that defense, you can't throw plays away. And those are two very big opportunities that blew it for them. So, I mean, I'm not going to like kill him, but he could have done better for sure.
And I hear you, right? I just kind of want to go back to that drive, and I kind of the fumble was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember what happened before the fumble, that's the part that really concerns me. He threw a dime that should have been a touchdown to Parker Washington. He dropped the ball, literally just dropped it wide open. The 4-yard line, could have waltzed into the end zone, dropped the football. The next play, he throws a touchdown. Evan Ingram's offsides.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 3rd and 17, and he tries to make something happen with his legs and fumbles the football. How about the end of the game? Calvin Ridley throws a dot in the back of the end zone. Calvin Ridley scores the touchdown. And nope, sorry, not enough to call this a touchdown. I don't know. I think he has a case of the turnovers. I think he turns the ball over too much.
Right.
But the way he throws the ball, and I said this on Wire to Wire last night, and I'll say it again here. And by the way, Jory, I want to be very clear. You have him as like your 7th or 8th best quarterback in football. So like you can talk about anything you want. You must hate every quarterback in the NFL the way you speak about him. And I am a Trevor Lawrence apologist. I'm fine with that. But don't put him top 10 if you don't, because you should be apologizing for him if you have him top 10. But let me take this a little step further, right? They don't have a top 10 receiving core. They don't have a top 10 offensive line. They don't have a top 10 defense of anything. The only thing they have a top 10 is quarterback, coach, record, and maybe running back. Running back's borderline. He's 9, 10, 11.
Right. ETN's pretty good. Yeah.
Why do they have a top 10 record if he's not as good as people think he is? And I can be an apologist all I want. When I watch it with my eyes, I watch the zip on the throw. I watch him hit a receiver in the hands. I watch him drop the football. And then we're like, the next play, if he throws an interception after it should have been a touchdown, something should have happened. He's in 3rd and long because of a stupid penalty. He's got the highest penalty yards per, like, I forget the name of it. It's PEN on the QBR, but essentially it's yards taken away per play by penalty. That's wild. By a yard and a half. 6.9 to 5.6 is second in the NFL. And everybody else grouped around that 4 number. That's wild. I won't continue to be an apologist. I just feel like when I watch him play football, I watch a great quarterback. Great. I say great. I'm good with great. Great quarterback play football. And I feel like he just, especially with Christian Kirk out, he's literally battling with Calvin Ridley, who hadn't played in 2 years. Zay Jones has been cut from multiple franchises. Evan Ingram, who was cut from his first home.
Zay Jones has been playing a lot better, though.
Zay Jones stinks.
I mean, he's not a Pro Bowler, but I mean, listen, you can't say for Zay Jones stinks when he had nothing but crap quarterbacks in the beginning part of his career, and then say, well, Trevor Lawrence is surrounded by bad players. I mean, Zay Jones has been playing better since he's been on the Jaguars.
And I wonder why.
Right. So he's got a better quarterback. But, I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is not really – I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's exceeded the expectations that people are expecting out of him out of being a number 1 pick. I know he's gotten that first year with Urban Meyer, which was awful. Who can succeed under that guy? But, you know, there are certain plays where you're like, okay, you know, the Cleveland game wasn't as good as I expected. He was kind of playing hurt. You know, it's tough to judge, but I would give him an extension, yes. But
Of course, you would give him an extension. Of
I
course,
but
I would give it up to empty check. Here you go.
I don't know if that team is as poverty ridden as you're making it sound like, though. Like Josh Allen's a pretty good player. Their secondary is bad. They have a lot of injuries in it, but it's horrible. Their D line's not. I don't think their D line's awful. I think they got a good D line.
No,
I mean,
defense as a whole, and Josh Allen's good. They don't really have a good defensive line as a whole. If you want to give Travon Walker the benefit of the doubt, because he's starting to play better now, but he was a project. He still is a project. He was a number 1 overall pick because he was a freak athlete. But like there was 4 to 5 edge rushers that have been better than him in the next year's draft already.
yeah. I mean, the Jags, I thought they would have been better this far along in the season. But I didn't think, I mean, I don't think they're really that far off. They've lost some games in weird ways. I don't think they're that far off where they should have been by the end of the season. They could still win this division. So.
And then people completely forget about that Bengals game where I think he was like 22 of 28 for 260, a couple touchdowns, like 3 touchdowns in that football game, no turnovers. Like we forget about that, right? Because he got hurt and he had the ankle injury, and then he came back miraculously and played at the number 3 defense in football in Cleveland and didn't look great. And we're like, oh, he stinks. No, you just not. It's not. Oh,
Man,
it's frustrating. Frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like he stinks or anything, because so like what you're saying about the penalty yards and all that, I think that is something where you separate elite from pretty good. Elite quarterbacks can necessarily recover from those plays, like a drop. Yes, it's a drive killer, but if you have another opportunity to make a play, that still gives you the opportunity to make up for that mistake from your wide receiver. And look, go ask Patrick Mahomes about Kadarius Toney. Like, that's a mistake waiting to happen, but Mahomes can find a way after that play to make enough plays to win games. So I'm not going to say that Lawrence is a bust or anything like that. I do think with him coming in as the number 1 pick, and a lot of people saying like he was a can't miss prospect, like since Andrew Luck, and they put a lot of praise on him. I think because of that, that's where some people are like, maybe we should have pumped the brakes a little bit. Not saying he can't get there, but he's not there right now. There's definitely room for improvement, but he's a young player, and that's kind of the expectation.
I hear you. Once again, his total expected points added with low leverage is number 8 in the NFL. And then in the PEN, I'll read you the definition. Essentially, he's number 1 by over a point, which is absurd because the highest is 6.9. It's expected points added on penalties with low leverage plays down weighted. So I just think the team is just not great. And I think that he gets a lot more criticism than he deserves.
Well, that's why at the beginning of the season, I said it was possible for them to be knocked off and not win the division, because he can't do it all by himself.
Yeah.
There was big holes in that team overall when I looked at it at the beginning of the season outside of Trevor Lawrence. And there's just certain things that they do long-term that, as great as ETN is, would have been better to draft an offensive lineman there? Maybe. It's just, you look at long-term decisions.
Doug Peterson didn't get to make that decision.
I know. That's not Doug's fault. I get that. But I thought that was a stupid move by Urban Meyer at the time, even though ETN's great. I just think running back is not where to focus that at when you have a number 1 pick at quarterback. But with that being said, I saw holes in this team. You know what I mean? And Trevor Lawrence can't play defense. He can't overcome it all by himself. So, that stinks. And his most dependable receiver is Christian Kirk, and he's not there now. So, Ridley's been getting better. I think he's going to get even better. He was off for a while. I think his trajectory's up. You know what I mean? But it's definitely, I don't know, man. I think they're contending for the division. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna pull it out. It's gonna be, you know what I mean. So,
all right. Well, let's talk about this week, guys. Thursday night, we got a game that happened tonight. The New Orleans Saints are traveling across the country on Thursday night to play the Los Angeles Rams. And guys, you guys got to help me understand. You guys got to help me understand. Why are the Rams only 4.5-point favorites in this football game? They seem like the much better football team. They're playing better football. Like what? We're going to just give the New Orleans Saints the benefit of the doubt because they beat Tommy DeVito. Like we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt because of that? I don't understand. I love the Rams in tonight's game. Does anyone on the Saints, does anyone think the re-addition of Chris Olave is going to help the Saints move forward?
We'll take the Rams.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
the Rams winning a blowout. I don't think the game's that close.
Say Rams cover easily.
yeah, I think the Rams are going to cover. I think they're playing well. They're getting production from guys like Demarcus Robinson. So I mean, you're firing on all cylinders there. The guy's got 3 touchdowns, a touchdown 3 weeks in a row. It's best stretch of that man's career.
Talk about a great season. How about Kyron Williams, man? Guy's averaging over 5 yards per carry. He's got almost 1,000 yards and he missed 3 games. I love the Rams tonight. I really do. I think they win. I think they win big. Well, I guess we're all in agreement there. Anybody want to take an argument? We need to get Jonathan on here so somebody can argue for the Saints. Saturday, you got 2. I don't know. I guess you got to talk about Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett has been ruled out again. Both teams are vying for a playoff spot. I'm not really that excited to talk about Jake Browning versus Mason Rudolph this week because Tomlin made the move.
Think twice before you cut me.
I love that by Browning. I do. And I'm happy that what they've done in Cincinnati, Jake Browning's really become a name. They're playing at Pittsburgh this week. I think that defense catches up to them. If I had to pick the game, I don't care if it's Mason Rudolph. You can give me Mason Rudolph, Tom Rudolph, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm taking the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers win the football game. They're playing at home. TJ Watt. I don't think that backup quarterback can make it happen in Pittsburgh. Your thoughts?
I don't think the Steelers can make it happen in Pittsburgh. That's my thoughts. That team reeks of desperation. They're going to Mason Rudolph, and there's no semblance of an organized offense at all. TJ Watt can't play every position. Minka Fitzpatrick is out. Jake Browning continues to shine. Give me the Bengals all day. Who day? Or is it who dat? I get that Saints.
No, who day. Who dat is the Saints. You're right.
Yeah. Browning's been playing. Listen, the game that he came in. All right, I don't know who Jake Browning is. I didn't know before this. And I'm watching the kid, and I'm like, all right, he's moving up in the pocket. He's getting rid of the ball quick. He's getting it to his receivers. He's matriculating the ball down the field. He's running the offense. And I'm like, all right, one game. I've seen this multiple games in a row. And he did it against the Brian Flores defense. And he hung in there. And that's not an easy defense to do it against. And I just think that they're doing a hell of a coaching job at Cincinnati with what's going on. And they're still contending somehow. I mean, I think this kid, I think they don't want to give him up. But if I'm quarterback needy, I might be trying. If I'm the Raiders, I might be like, hello. If I'm is this guy available?
I like that. Brett, Kyle, who do you got winning this foot one?
I have the Bengals. I give the Steelers just as much a chance to win with Mason Rudolph as I would to do with Kenny Pickett's bum. But I don't like any quarterback that the Steelers have to offer, and whether Pickett's healthy or not, I would give them the same amount of chance to win. Give me the Bengals in a blowout. Yep.
I need a free George Pickens t-shirt. That's what I need.
Oh, bro, stop it. George Pickens.
He himself sent off the team with his effort in blocking.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, that's true, but
I'll take the Steelers. Everybody's on the Bengals team. Kyle, you going to join me on the Steelers bandwagon?
I got the Bengals. I mean, we saw a backup in Bailey Zappi go into Pittsburgh and perform pretty well. And you probably say Browning's a better quarterback than Bailey Zappi, and he has better weapons around him. So I feel like we're going to see much of the same. So give me the Bengals.
By the way, Browning was a stud in college. He went to Washington, guys. The guy threw 43 touchdown passes one year. He was a very good quarterback in college.
I thought I remembered the name. Okay, yes, Washington. Yeah.
Just FYI. Not really going to talk about Buffalo versus LA. We already talked about the Chargers, and Buffalo should roll in that one. Let's move into the Sunday docket. The Indianapolis Colts are 1-point dogs going against the Atlanta Falcons. This game has playoff implications. We got to talk about it. The Atlanta Falcons, once again, have moved away from Desmond Ridder. They're starting Taylor Heineke. Gardner Minshew and Shane Steichen have been incredible for the Indianapolis Colts. Although they did, and they just ran through the Steelers last week. Minshew threw for 3 touchdowns. Trey Sermon was running the football last week for the Indianapolis Colts. They're probably getting back Jonathan Taylor. Your thoughts on Trey Sermon, Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Michael Pittman, and Gardner Minshew? I like the Indianapolis Colts in this one, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Colts in this one. I love what Shane Steichen is doing over there, but also maybe equally as importantly, I hate what Arthur Smith is doing in Atlanta. So I think both are equally just as important. I think if it comes down to it, I think the Colts will call the right plays. I don't trust Arthur Smith to do the same. So give me the Colts.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts as well. The fact they're a point underdog, I guess, because Atlanta's in Atlanta. But let's be honest. Heineke, yes, is probably better for the system than Ridder has been. But the Colts are just a better team right now. So I'll take the Colts. Both teams have something to play for, but the Colts are just a much better team.
Godfrey, you want to give us a pick on this one? He's on mute.
You're muted.
Falcons. The reason why is, listen, Tyler Heineke's not a world beater, but I do think there's enough talent on that team where if he can execute the offense, he can take advantage of the talent. And you can beat the Colts cornerbacks. They're playing good. They run the ball good. Is Grady Jarrett out? Is he gone for the season or is he? I'm not sure.
Good question.
Because Grady Jarrett is a big part of their run defense in Atlanta, and I'm not sure if he's out for the season.
He's on IR. He's
on IR. So okay, so they're going to be able to run the ball on him. They do play better at home. Grady Jarrett, if you notice, people have been running the ball on the Falcons since he's been out. That's probably like 80% of the run defense, to be honest. So it's going to be a close one. I wouldn't want to touch this game as a better. But if you're going to ask me who I'm taking right now, I'm taking the Falcon. I'm taking the Falcons.
I just tagged Key in the chat because I want this clipped. I want this to be clipped. I think this is going to be a very good TikTok, right?
Okay.
Next season, the Atlanta Falcons are going to hire a head coach, an offensive head coach, and make a trade for Justin Fields, and they're going to win the NFC South by multiple games. They are going to become a juggernaut behind Justin Fields and a good NFL offensive coach. Book it. I'm telling you guys. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Justin Fields. With that defense and a good head coach, that team might win the Super Bowl. So I want that to be anybody in Atlanta can listen to this. You have a bright future. The answers are they're right on the wall. You can just write the answers down. It's an open book test. Call Chicago up, get Justin Fields. They're going to draft Caleb Williams. Call Chicago, get Justin Fields, get yourself a new head coach that believes in Justin Fields, and go win the Super Bowl. That's my sense.
I mean, they say the Steelers and Falcons are going to be trying to get Fields. I would be interested in seeing him in Pittsburgh. I thought Atlanta should have gone after Lamar when he was kind of dangling out there, and they were quick to say they weren't interested. I don't know. But Fields would be a big upgrade for sure.
How about the walking Joe Flacco's? The Cleveland Browns won another football game they probably shouldn't have won. They're down 10 points. Darnell Mooney also drops a Hail Mary that fell in his chest. But they winning football games. Joe Flacco and the Browns. Now they're going into Houston, and it doesn't look like C.J. Stroud's going to play again. Who do you like in this one? Joe Flacco? Or the Houston Texans and D'Amico Ryan? I think the Texans have completely fallen apart, missing Tank Dell, the receivers being hurt, and now no C.J. Stroud. It's a recipe for disaster for that Browns defense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because I really wanted Houston to do well, but it still doesn't damper the season because when they start next year and Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud and all that are healthy, we know what Houston can do. But I got to take the Browns. I've been on the Browns actually most of the season, and the fact that they are not only kind of surviving but are thriving right now with Joe Flacco is a testament to like that whole organization coming out of the whole Deshaun Watson stuff. I give them all the credit in the world, and I think they continue the streak and beat the Texans this week.
Jacksonville, Tampa, next one on the docket. But who do you guys got in the Browns versus Texans? Godfrey, Garden 3.
Browns versus Texans. I mean, it looks like Stroud's going to be out, right?
Yep, looks like it again. Remember last week you said he's going to find a way to play, and he's still out with that concussion, bro.
He must have got his bell rung because I'm going to go with the Browns here, man. Listen, if Stroud's in, it's a little bit more competitive, but I just don't see Case Keenum. He's navigating that defense. I think Joe Flacco's a savvy enough veteran where he can, put them in positions to win. And I'm going to have to go with the defense here. I mean, both of them are playing with backup quarterbacks, and the Browns are just finding ways to win. 4 different quarterbacks this year, and they have 9 wins. Crazy.
Yeah. Gardy 3, what do you got in this one?
Well, I think that I got the Browns, and I think Kevin Stefanski, he continues to shine up his resume for Coach of the Year in this one. I don't think Case Keenum's going to be able to navigate this defense. Joe Flacco's definitely been playing well enough to win games, so as long as Joe Flacco doesn't implode, which I don't think happens this week, give me the Browns.
Fields of the Seahawks would be very interesting, John. I don't think that happens, but interesting.
That would be. The Bears are so stupid if they trade.
They're gonna trade him. They're gonna draft Caleb Williams. They're gonna fire their coach. They're gonna draft Caleb Williams, and they're gonna marry their coach to their quarterback for the first time in a long time. So that's.
I trust more in Fields long term than Caleb Williams personally.
I do too. But that's not the point. You marry your coach to your quarterback, and I'm okay with the Bears resetting their cycle if they marry their coach to their quarterback. I would go out and give Lincoln Riley anything he wanted. Like, you want a jet, whatever you want. Come here and coach the team with Caleb Williams and, like, marry the coach to the quarterback. All right, so we got Jacksonville at Tampa, another playoff type game. Jacksonville will travel about an hour and a half down south, play against Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the surging Baker Mayfields. Baker Mayfield has looked incredible, guys. Who do you like in that one? You like Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence is still in protocol. It looks like he's going to make it out of protocol by game time, but he still has not cleared concussion protocol. He put himself in protocol Monday morning, which was very interesting. I love that about it. But no, Key, you're good. I just wanted a clip for the Justin Fields thing I said about when I tagged you. So I just wanted to have it timestamped. But as a whole, I think that this is a game in which Jacksonville wins the football game because I have more confidence in Doug Peterson than I have in Todd Bowles. That's where I'm at. Like Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, fine. Rashad White, Travis Etienne, okay. But I really do like, and I think this is a game that Jacksonville needs to win more than Tampa. Especially if Atlanta loses and New Orleans loses, like I think they will. I like Jacksonville to win this football game. You guys' thoughts on this one?
I think Jacksonville definitely has the coaching advantage and the quarterback advantage. My issue with this game for Jacksonville is, like, I'm not sure where else they really have an advantage. I think the Bucs are just overall a better team. Not, like I said, not coaching and quarterback wise, but overall, I just think the Bucs are a better team. But it's tough. I think this will be a battle. I think Jacksonville will show a lot of fight, and I'm going to trust the better coach and quarterback to get out of this one. So I'll take Jacksonville. I think they get ETN involved and keep that Buccaneers defense off balance.
Go ahead, Godfrey.
Listen, I need people to put some respect on my boy Baker's name. All right,
that's your boy now.
I'm just saying. Listen, he went into Lambeau, first QB to have a perfect QB rating in there. I know Gardy is like, what the hell? Listen, he's playing with some confidence, and I'm not saying he's a star, but he's using his receivers. I think they win, man. It's going to be a close game. And listen, Todd, I said last week on the show that the Bucs were going to win. Todd Bowles is not to be an underrated coach when it comes to defensive scheme, just like we talk about Brian Flores, and he's definitely got his finger on that there. And I think with the holes we talked about with Jacksonville that they have on the team, with notwithstanding Trevor Lawrence in the secondary and other things that are going on, I think they could be had on the road. Yes.
And Kyle?
I'm with Godfrey. I'm on the Baker Nears, man. I like what they're doing. I want Baker in the playoffs.
So do I.
I want him to be over 500, so they have some legitimacy making it in. He fires that team up. They're playing for him. I'm loving it. Jacksonville is in a bit of a low period with their team. I kind of think it might turn into a shootout too. I don't know. I feel like we might see Baker and Trevor kind of going back and forth. That's if Trevor plays, of course. But yeah, I'll take the Bucs to win this one.
All right. I like it. I like being on my branch. Put me on my branch. All right, we got 2 games of the week that we got to go over. 2 games that are absolutely games of the week. The Dallas Cowboys are going to travel to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami and to take on the Miami Dolphins. I love this football game. Tyreek Hill's got to play. He still hasn't practiced. Tyreek Hill doesn't play. I'm picking Dallas, and I'm not thinking twice. I am picking Dallas in this football game. I think they win the game. I think they're set up perfectly to go up against Miami. They play matchup zone, which plays perfectly against the motion in which Miami runs. So I think Dallas's defense is perfect for this Miami Dolphins team. However, do you trust the Cowboys in December? Because I don't.
That's the $1 million question.
Well, Kyle, why don't you start? Who do you got in this one? I told you I'm taking the Cowboys, but I'm not happy about it.
I mean, look, these are 2 teams where it's hard to put trust in. I'm gonna go Dolphins. I'll say the Dolphins find a way to win it. Would not be surprised either way. I don't know. The Cowboys are, because wait, this game is in Miami, right? And the Cowboys haven't really played well on the road all season. I don't know what the reason for that is. A lot of times teams that only win at home aren't that good. Look at the Falcons. They only win at home. So you can tell me the Cowboys are basically the Falcons on the road? Yeah, I don't know. I'll take the Dolphins. I trust what they can do, especially at home against a good Dallas defense, but Miami's got kind of the pieces to put up some offense. So, yeah, I'll take the Dolphins.
And what a laughable stat. 55-48 in the month of December since 1998. John, is this guy a Cowboys fan, John Suggs? I'm just curious.
I have no idea.
Identify yourself, sir, in the comments. But listen,
I think John's a Patriots fan.
Yeah, that's a good stat he's pulling. I think, listen, obviously with my Eagles hat here, I might have a tinge of bias on this opinion, and something behind wanting them to lose. But I think speed kills. Being on the road. Listen, let's rewind back to when they played the Seahawks. Great receiver group there. Metcalf ate Bland for lunch. If Tyreek Hill plays, which he has not been ruled out yet, correct?
No, he actually just returned to practice today. I just read it.
He is going to torch them. I'm taking the Dolphins at home. And they're gonna have a rebound game, and we're gonna be like, oh, look at Waddle, look at Hill, look at Devin A-Chain. I don't know if he got injured right now, though, walking to the fridge, because he seems to get injured a lot. So hopefully he's okay at home. But if not, Moster's pretty damn fast too. So I think if you look at what they did with Cooks, Mostert can do the same thing what Cook did. Not Cooks, Cook did with the Bills. I think they put a blueprint out there, and they boat raced them. So yeah, give me the Dolphins.
I would say, yeah, I'll take the Dolphins as well. This is the part of the year where I start to lose a lot of faith in Mike McCarthy coaching and the Dallas Cowboys in whole. So as a certified Mike McCarthy hater, I'll take the Dolphins.
I actually think the Cowboys win this football game. I think they respond after getting their butt kicked. but I would be very happy to be wrong about this one. Monday Night Football, you got the game of the week, could be the game of the year. And man, Baltimore is providing San Francisco with bulletin board material. If you are offended by being a 5.5-point dog on the road in San Francisco, the home team gets 3 points. You don't think that the 49ers are 2.5 points better than the Baltimore Ravens? Like, what are we talking about right now? And I'm offended. I don't respect anyone over there. Marlon Humphrey's running his mouth. Kyle Hamilton's running his mouth. That Baltimore defense is talking very, very reckless. They better put up or shut up. This is my game of the week. I feel strongly about this football game, and I'm almost 100% sure on it. I'm almost as confident as I was last week with my game of the year. I got the 49ers, and I got the 49ers in an absolute blowout. I think that the 49ers defensive line will be able to get to Lamar Jackson without having to blitz. I think the 49ers secondary will do a great job press coveraging the receivers on Baltimore. And I think that without Mark Andrews, no safety blanket, I think San Fran beats them up. I really do. I think they eat them up. I don't think it's a Super Bowl matchup either, because I don't think the Ravens get there. But give me the 49ers in this one, and give me the 49ers big. I got it being 34-16.
I would love to see a scoreline like that, because man, these Ravens fans are out here being reckless about their team.
They got big trust, bro.
I don't care. The Niners are just a complete team right now. And, for the Ravens fans, they will be watching probably the MVP over their guy, because, they all think Lamar's the MVP. It's Brock Purdy. Their offense is more diverse. It'll give the Ravens defense more to think about. And then defensively, I feel like people are wondering if the Niners can keep up with Lamar in the pocket. Yeah. We saw what Jacksonville kind of did with him, where they didn't really put pressure on him. They rushed like 3-4 guys, which just allowed him to find lanes to run. I don't think the Niners will play defense the same way. So because of that, it's going to take away from what the Ravens can do offensively, because Lamar's running is a big part of their offense. So, yeah, I just think the Niners are just a much better team all around, so I think they win it as well.
Why is Jory always mad? She's always effing somebody, F the feather brains. Jory's always mad. You ain't got to be mad all the time, Jory. It's okay.
F the feather brains.
Because she hears the same recklessness from Ravens fans. They are cocky for not doing much.
Bro, I hope you are. I really only talk to one.
No, I've seen more than Okay. I've seen a few of them out there.
I hope we're not talking about that one, because that one's just delusional. Like I don't take anything he said. I take everything he says with a grain of salt. He's a delusional.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's not even like just Ravens fans. Like a lot of the media has fallen in love with the Ravens and fallen in love with Lamar Jackson. It's just like we've been down this road before, where they've had good regular seasons, and then they get to the playoffs, and what happens? They bow out early. I'm not going to fall for that trap again. They got to prove it to me.
This is a tough game for me, because I'm in love with Kyle Hamilton, okay? And I think all the points people make about what Lamar can and can't do against the Niners defense, I feel like that's an equally challenging question about the Ravens defense, because that's the strength of the team, right? Lamar's not the MVP. Neither is Brock Purdy. It's CMC. He's the real MVP. If you put just give me 10 seconds here. Let's rewind the clock and pretend that they took Mac Jones at pick 3 with San Francisco, and then Brock Purdy was in New England. Would he be having the same results? I do not think so. CMC is the straw that stirs that drink. Would they be having the same results with Eli Mitchell as the number 1 back? No way in hell. Okay, that's the MVP. Look at a Marshall Faulk season. It's right on par with it. But with that being said, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than people think. I do think the Niners are going to edge it out. I think they're going to be punching each other in the mouth. I don't think we're going to see an offensive explosion. I'm on the opposite side of that. And
I don't think it's an offensive explosion either. I think that Roquan Smith, and I think that I just think that the Ravens won't be able to move the football. 34-17 isn't. I think there's a defensive touchdown in there. I think there's a late touchdown. I don't think it's an offensive explosion. It's like 6 points above the over-under. I got the over barely.
Yeah, I'm seeing maybe a 23-16 game.
And no, I'm with you. No more Purdy hate. He doesn't deserve any of this.
He ain't getting hate. I just think CMC is the best player on that team.
You didn't need to talk about it. You didn't need to do it. You do it every week.
Listen, he's not the MVP, man. I don't know what else to say. People want to live in stats, but CMC has been amazing this year. He's having one of those,
and that's why he'll win Offensive Player of the Year, because MVP is a quarterback stat, and Offensive Player of the Year is a skill position stat.
They said that when Falk won it. They said that when other running backs wanted to have special seasons. He's having a special season. He's having a special season.
Cooper Kupp winning on his Triple Crown year.
How many receivers have won it? I can give you running backs that have won it, but they've had special years.
You can't give me a running back that's won it since 2012.
When did LaDainian Thompson win it?
2006.
Well, listen, the overall winner is always usually quarterbacks, but I'm telling you, when it does happen, it's a running back that has a special season. It's happened more than once. It's happened more than twice. It's happened more than 3 times.
You might be right. We'll see. Cardi 3, who you got in the game?
I got the 49ers, and I don't think it's going to be all that close either. I think the 49ers do have the ingredient to slow down Lamar. They can get to him without sending extra pressure, and they don't have to compromise their passing gaps or anything. So I do like the 49ers in this one, and I do think they win it quite handily.
I'm with you. So all three of us think that 49ers win the game handily. And then Godfrey is saying very close game, low scoring. And Godfrey, I can hear that, right? I think Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton do a good job of slowing down that 49ers offense. I do believe that. And I don't think that Brock Purdy is, I told you, I don't think he's top 6, 7, 8, 9 quarterback in football. But he's perfect for that system and what they do there. He's the most valuable player in the league this year, because if they didn't have him at quarterback, none of the other stuff would matter.
I would like to rewind the sideline to sideline in previous name tape. I am the guy last year that said Brock Purdy can play in the system because of Kyle Shanahan's system. Remember, you were the guy that said,
and I fully admit that, bro. How many times I got to apologize for?
No, but what I'm saying
reminding me that I said this week 2 of the NFL season.
The system makes a lot of difference here, is what I'm saying.
It does, but bro, how many times you got to remind me of last year? I apologize. I had a note. I read the note on air. I apologized. Purdy sent me a message back. He said, "We're all good."
Yeah.
I got to buy a fucking jersey. Is that what I got to do?
I'm just saying the system makes a big difference here, and he adapts the system to his quarterback. He made C.J. Beathard look good for a couple weeks. He's made Nick Mullins look good for a week or two in that system.
Well, go look up Kyle Shanahan's record as a head coach without Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, and tell me what it is.
Is it more with? I don't even know off the top of my head.
His record without Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo is 17-40. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm talking about making a quarterback serviceable. There's a lot of other things going on in those seasons. That's where the stats lie. That's a season where Debo was out. That's another one. We got to talk about the other people that were injured on the team. They didn't have Trent Williams that year.
Guys, we got 1 minute left. Any final comments this week? I didn't bring up a lot of games. Anybody want to add something? You get 10 seconds, 12 seconds. Go.
Go back, go.
Merry Christmas. Enjoy the football.
Yeah, well, let's wrap up on that. Merry Christmas to everybody. I appreciate all the love from everybody in the chat tonight. Merry Christmas to my Sports Empire family. This will be my last show before the holiday. I love you guys all. I appreciate everything that you guys do, the support, the listeners, my friends, my family, my fans. So thank you so much for everything you do. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That is the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. Gardens 2s is not for him. He's guarding the 3, and we're taking it deep with D. Godfrey, and we are signing